Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Billy loses his balance due to Kane's visit, and Nick's warning to Phyllis is taken as gospel. Audra tells Sally at Crimson Lights that Nate called her a liar and thought Claire was telling the truth. Sally apologizes. She finds out that Nate accused Audra of not providing him with direct answers, because he was dubious about her arrangement with Victor. Sally notes that Audra wasn't quite truthful with him. "I told you so" is not something Audra wants to hear. Sally advises Audra to tell Nate the truth so he can comprehend her motivation. "He'll never understand," Audra says. That's the reason she left. She fears that there is no going back. During their argument, Audra gripes about her boyfriend's hasty finger-pointing. Even if he found out, she was confident they could survive the backlash. Sally is perceptive. Audra offers Nate some space in the hopes that he may change his mind. She would be sad to lose him. Sally Audra YNR. Sally switches the topic to her launch party and promises that Abbott Chancellor will be the talk of the town. Given that Kyle Abbott would want to publicly crucify her, Audra finds it annoying that they still refer to it as Abbott Communications. Why did they allow her to serve as their company's COO? "You're working for me," Sally counters, promising to intercede. Audra isn't sure the Abbotts won't cause any issues. Sally Audra YNR. How will Nate respond? Nate informs Devin and Lily at Society that he and Audra are finished. Devin and Lily acknowledge that there was a problem in France with her and Kyle. Lily isn't sure which is worse, her pretending to cheat on him for financial gain or actually cheating on him. Back here in Genoa City, Nate informs her about the kiss. Devin believes that Nate's former partner is still attempting to reconcile with Victor. He's hoping his cousin won't let her get away with it. More. What fans aren't aware of about YNR. Devin and Lily keep complaining about Audra's devil deal and caution Nate against giving her another chance to turn on him. According to Nate, Kyle might have made this whole thing up. He is forced to acknowledge by his relatives that he accepts Claire's account of what happened. Lily's statement that she never trusted Audra makes the obvious clear. Devin, a shining example of decency, agrees. Nate acknowledges that he might have missed certain warning signs, such as her past relationship with Holden, and her request that he not accompany her to Nice. It appears that they were both correct about Audra from the beginning. They all show their affection. Will Phyllis's call affect Nick? Nick finds Phyllis screaming into Kane's voicemail about putting a bomb on her while they are in the park. Phyllis YNR. Nick inquires as to what's happening with Kane as Phyllis disconnects. Now what has he done? Nick tries to sidestep the subject by lecturing that it was dangerous to mix up with Kane. Things didn't work out, he supposes. Nick tries to persuade Phyllis that he cares about her and wants to assist her, but she vehemently disputes that. Nick complains that she ought to have approached him rather than Kane. The thought of working for Newman Enterprises makes Phyllis laugh. She can still get support from Nick. He can't match what Kane was providing, Phyllis tells him. Phyllis zips her lips when he asks about his plan. Nick points out that Kane is already giving up and raising the white flag. As Nick questions her about what has transpired with Kane, Phyllis becomes furious. Phyllis promises to save things. Phyllis Nick YNR. Who is Billy's unexpected guest? Billy is taken aback when Kane visits and comments on his interior design. Billy wants to discuss why he is there. Kane queries his allegiances. When Billy tells Kane that Phyllis told him he was out, he becomes agitated and they argue verbally. Kane laughs and explains that he isn't going to follow through on his first plans. Billy is not convinced. Kane YNR. Kane maintains that his choice is appropriate, saying that Chancellor Jabot and Newman are all safe. He is no longer capable of fighting the fight. Billy surmises that a big event occurred. He alienated his children, Kane explains. Now is the time to concentrate on fixing that. Billy hopes he has luck. Does this imply that Chancellor is fair game? He wonders. Kane gives a nod. You are free to take it. More. Kane's return stories top 10 plot holes. Kane declines Billy's invitation to discuss his plan for becoming Chancellor, because he wants to give him the opportunity to work it out on his own. He acknowledges that he did it for Lily. Billy cautions, "You have no idea what you've just done to yourself," as they laugh over Kane dumping Phyllis. Billy Kane YNR. Billy then concludes that he still doesn't trust Kane. Billy's non-brother wishes him success and maintains that he is telling the truth. Sally shows up and frowns as he leaves. Sally Y&R. Sally questions Billy about that. She hopes that Kane didn't discover that Billy is following him. Billy snarks. That's a good question. Billy reveals that Ashby informed him that since Chancellor is abandoning his ambitions, he is up for grabs. He fears that by drawing attention to himself, he is preventing the Newmans from spotting him coming. Sally claims that Abbott Communications can reveal the truth if they can discover what he is up to. Billy's eyes narrow. Kane might be attempting to throw him off balance, but for what reason? Billy Sally Y&R. Will Kane influence Lily's view? Kane calls Lily at Society and asks whether she's had a chance to view his video. Lily says she's been quite busy. He's hoping she'll look at it. This will take time, she says, for everyone. Kane declares that this has altered his viewpoint. She releases him. After Audra enters and gets her takeaway, Devin and Nate comment on Lily's sudden departure. She gives them a stern look and walks away silently.
More, a wry turn of events leads to a controversy involving cheating. Lily watches Kane's video message to their kids from the overlook. Is Phyllis going to hear Nick? Still at the park, Phyllis tells Nick that Kane simply needs time to get back on track because his kids saw him negatively as a result of his family's expose. Kane made his bed, according to Nick. Since Ashby is unreliable, he believes she should flee. Nick sought to form an alliance with him just days earlier, Phyllis remembers. More, Tamara Braun, a daytime vet, joins Y&R as. Phyllis advises Nick to move away, but he rants about her putting all her eggs in Kane's basket while he's bailing on her. Phyllis maintains that she is an expert in her field. We work together. Have you got that? Nick wrinkles his eyes at the kinship between her and Ashby. Nick worries that she intends to target people's businesses. He implores her to reconsider. I have already, she thinks. I'm capable. Back off. Lily's complex emotions, Phyllis and Kane's plot, and Christine's transformation into Bridezilla? According to previews for the upcoming 3 weeks of The Young and the Restless, August 25th to September 12th, Genoa City is bustling with activity as fall approaches. As Phyllis Summers is ready to leave for war, some wedding preparations are made. In another scene, Lily Winters battles her conflicted feelings for Kane Ashby. Thunder develops during the week of August 25th to 29th. Lily questions Holden Novak about Kane's plans in Genoa City for the week of August 25th to 29th, but she doesn't get any answers. While secretly harboring affections for Kane, Lily simultaneously assures him she has no desire in a reconciliation. Using a different strategy, Victor Newman tries to coerce Kane into joining forces to overthrow Jabot. Despite Victor's arrogance, Kane has Amanda Sinclair look into his claims, and she never finds anything wrong. Meanwhile, Victoria Newman worries about Claire Newman's friendship with Kyle Abbott. This cannot end well, and Claire is determined to find out what transpired between Kyle and Audra Charles in France. Kyle has lied by omission so far. He said that he and Audra only shared a single kiss with his parents, Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott. However, the playboy was making out with Audra in her bed while partially nude. How will Claire find out, and will she rush into Holden's embrace as a result? After realizing what had transpired, Nate Hastings left Audra. Will he return with a grovel and apologize to the dishonest liar? Lastly, Jack gets important news from Billy Abbott. Billy has some information to give after spying on Kane. However, did Kane leave Billy a misguided breadcrumb trail? Indeed, perhaps. Fire arrives the week of September 1st to 5th. Jack spends the week of September 1st to 5th figuring out the information because he wants to preserve Jabot's and his family's heritage. In the meantime, Sharon Newman is still concerned about the marriage between Mariah Copeland and Tessa Porter. She feels that Tessa and Daniel Romalotti are becoming closer, and Mariah might even see this firsthand. Tell us, Y&R lovers, do you want to see Daniel and Tessa together, or is this a total mismatch? It's Bridezilla week, September 8th to 12th. Lauren Fenmore Baldwin must fulfill her promise to make Christine Blair 3 bridal gowns over the week of September 8th to 12th. Is cricket able to select just one? In October, Christine marries rock sensation Danny Romalotti, her ideal husband. Daniel is trying to help by preventing Phyllis from attending the ceremony, but we think that will backfire horribly. When it comes to Phyllis, she and Amanda are smitten with their employer, Kane. Kane wants to exploit Phyllis's expertise to completely upend GC, therefore he asked her to become an AI expert. Will Amanda give away too much? The Young and the Restless has one of its most complex weeks, and in order to fully understand the depth of what's happening, one must closely examine every emotional thread, every confrontation, and every secret that emerges as these characters navigate love, betrayal, loyalty, and ambition in Genoa City. Kane's visit throws Billy off balance, and Nick's warning to Phyllis is ignored. The drama starts at Crimson Lights when Audra vents to Sally about Nate accusing her of lying and siding with Claire instead, which she finds unfair and extremely offensive considering all the risks she has taken to align herself with power. Sally, who is always practical but understanding, points out that Audra wasn't completely honest and reminds her that lying was part of her strategy with Victor, which justifies Nate's suspicion. However, Audra doesn't want to hear moral justifications or "I told you so's," as she is worn out, defensive, and growingly afraid that the rift between her and Nate may not be mended. Their discussion shifts to the impending Abbott-Chancellor launch party, where Audra's insecurity about her COO role and Sally's drive to create a stir clash. This is especially true given that Kyle Abbott is waiting in the background, ready to expose and humiliate her if given the opportunity. Audra's skepticism reveals her underlying fear that every alliance she has formed is flimsy, conditional, and possibly doomed. When Nate tells Devon and Lily that he is no longer seeing Audra, they immediately confirm what they already thought, that Audra was never reliable, that her pattern of manipulation has finally caught up with her, and that his heart and professional integrity deserve better than chasing after someone who always puts ambition before loyalty. The siblings think back on France, the suspicions about her relationship with Kyle, and the unsettling feeling that she never wanted Nate too close to her dealings with Victor, which only confirms she was hiding something important. In the meantime, Nick finds Phyllis in the park, mid-ranting on Kane's voicemail, her rage and desperation exposed as she lashes out over the possibility that Kane might be breaking their partnership, which she has staked so much on. Nick takes advantage of the situation to remind her that working with Kane was reckless from the beginning, but Phyllis lashes out, refusing to acknowledge that she might be mistaken and insisting she knows exactly what she's doing. Even as Nick highlights the obvious, Kane is faltering, possibly retreating, and she is risking everything on someone who is untrustworthy. Naturally, Phyllis is unwilling to back down, asserting that her relationship with Kane is a genuine partnership and that Nick is merely unaware of the whole extent of the situation. Then, Kane's surprise visit to Billy's house throws Billy off balance right away. Kane smirks as he comments on Billy's decor, but then quickly changes his mind and starts questioning Billy's loyalty. This leads to a verbal sparring match in which Billy points out that Phyllis already told him Kane was out, to which Kane responds that he's stepping back voluntarily and is no longer willing to fight Newman, Jabot, or Chancellor because he's chosen to concentrate on making amends with his kids. At first, Billy doesn't trust him because he senses a more sinister plan is at work. However, when Kane asserts that his fatigue is real and that Chancellor is vulnerable, Billy is intrigued and wary, wondering if he's setting up a ruse to make people underestimate him. Their conversation touches on Lily when Kane acknowledges that proving something to her was a major part of his aim. However, when Phyllis is brought up, they both start laughing, and Billy then gives a sobering warning that Kane has no idea what a storm he may have just unleashed by cutting off his relationship with her. When Sally shows up, she sees Kane walking away and asks Billy what happened. Billy confirms Kane's claim that he has abandoned his plans, but Sally, who is always perceptive, believes Kane's announcement might be just another smokescreen, an effort to deflect attention while he goes after something even more ambitious. Billy considers this option and notes that it severely unsettles him to think that Kane's plan might be to mentally destabilize him, to throw him off balance so that Newman and Jabot miss his actual maneuvers. Lily, who is skeptical and still hurt from years of betrayal, curtly responds that it will take time for any healing when Kane calls her across town and asks her to watch a video he sent to their children. His voice is tinged with vulnerability as he suggests this message represents a turning point in his life. However, curiosity later leads her to the Overlook, where she watches Kane's heartfelt message alone, her emotions alternating between nostalgia, bitterness, and the unmistakable feeling that his plea may not be wholly self-serving. As Nick warns her that Kane is toxic and will disappoint her, Phyllis continues their heated back and forth in the park, digging in her heels. Phyllis maintains that she knows how to handle him and that she has already changed her approach, turning in a way that Nick cannot understand, while he presses her to stop her risky game. Their confrontation perfectly captures Nick's irritated loyalty, his need to shield her clashing with his incapacity to curb her self-destructive impulses, and Phyllis's unyielding independence, her reluctance to back down even when the odds are against her. Layers of intrigue deepen as the week goes on. Victor tries to use blackmail to get Kane to join him in a plot against Jabot, but Kane, exhausted but calculating, asks Amanda Sinclair to look into Victor's claims because she knows that if anyone can find the truth, it's her. Lily confronts Holden Novak about Kane's return but is unable to decide whether to reject him or deal with her unresolved feelings. Victoria worries about Claire's relationship with Kyle, who has been dishonest about his involvement with Audra in France, causing a potential catastrophe in her personal life. While Devon and Lily remain steadfast in their assessment of Audra, Nate legally ends their relationship and leaves her on her own, raising doubts about whether he will change his mind. As a sign of yet another relational upheaval, Sharon observes Mariah and Tessa's rising tension, which is made worse by Daniel's participation. And through it all, Billy, ever skeptical, gathers intel on Kane, only to question whether what he's found is real or part of a trail Kane purposefully left for him to follow, a riddle that both thrills and unnerves him. With Lauren Fenmore Baldwin tasked with delivering gowns and Daniel attempting, and probably failing, to prevent Phyllis from interfering, Christine Blair's impending wedding to Danny Romalotti adds a hint of humor and mayhem. Daniel also promises explosive fallout when personal grudges ruin an ostensibly joyous occasion. The drama's central focus, however, is Kane Ashby, his vacillating between deceit and repentance, his tense relationships with Lily and the kids, his erratic partnership with Phyllis, and his ability to keep Billy and Victor guessing. The emotional heartbeat of this tale is whether Kane's retreat is genuine or a masterstroke of planning, if Phyllis's rebellion will save her or kill her, and whether Billy's mistrust will safeguard Jabot or leave him exposed to a blind side. There is a thick web of intrigue that promises to shape the next phase of power struggles in Genoa City, where loyalty is brittle, love is conditional, and ambition almost always comes with a devastating price. Every glance, whispered secret, and heated warning echoes with the weight of past betrayals and the looming threat of new ones. Kane's abrupt departure from his plans does not undo the chaos he has already caused in Genoa City, and in many respects, his announcement of retreat only serves to increase the ambiguity surrounding him, leaving everyone, from Billy to Phyllis to Lily, to speculate as to whether he has actually chosen atonement or is covertly developing a new strategy. For Billy, Kane's remarks reverberate long after the visit is over. He dismisses the interaction with mockery on the outside, but he can't get rid of the feeling that Kane is manipulating him. Billy has always taken pride in his ability to read manipulation because he has been the target of Victor's schemes for years. However, Kane offers a different kind of challenge because he is a man who conceals his goals behind a facade of personal regret and wounded fatherhood rather than a merciless corporate giant. Billy mentally reenacts their exchange, analyzing each phrase, pause, and half-smile to find hints about Kane's motivations. Was the discussion of estranged children an act of sincere repentance or a well-planned distraction meant to disarm him? Was the poison chalice that was given as a chancellor for the taking intended to trick Billy? Billy is aware of the fact that Kane has a history of dishonesty and that trust has never been his most valuable asset. In the meantime, Phyllis ruminates in her own little area of Genoa City, reliving her tense conversation with Nick, her frustration mounting with each passing thought. She interprets Nick's warnings as merely another attempt to manipulate her and a reminder that the Newmans don't respect her as a standalone player. She dislikes his paternalistic tone, his disdain, and his implication that she is mindlessly following Kane's example. Though she is impetuous, emotional, and pride-driven, Phyllis is also aware of her intelligence, her capacity to see things from other perspectives, and her resistance to be undervalued. She sees Kane as a collaborator who dares to go outside the constraints set by the strong dynasties of Abbott and Newman, rather than as a liability. Nick doesn't understand that Phyllis is sick of following the rules that guys like Victor, Jack, and even Nick have established. She will drive Kane back into the game if he is faltering, and she will steady the course if he is hesitating. Her resentment of him stems from impatience more than betrayal. She is annoyed by his abrupt wish to go when they were so near to destroying Genoa City. At the same time, Lily's heart is pulled in many directions, leaving her in a state of emotional limbo. She has been trying to bury the memory of the man who used to make her feel safe, loved, and treasured, but watching Kane's film with their kids brings everything back. She remembers the father who loved their family despite his imperfections and fervently wished to keep them together. But then reality sets in, the falsehoods, the betrayals, the times when his recklessness and ambition overcame his love. Although Lily has been on this path before and the wounds are still fresh, she wants to think he is sincere. Her suspicion is reinforced by her siblings, Devin and Nate, who point out that Kane has a history of promising transformation before reverting to deceit and manipulation. Nevertheless, Lily can't shake the faint optimism that perhaps, just possibly, this time is different. She is forced to consider if second chances are indeed attainable or if some people are just destined to repeat their mistakes as she observes Devin's unshakable moral attitude and Nate's lingering vulnerability over Audra. This makes her struggle even more apparent. Audra, on the other hand, spirals deeper into doubt.